In living memory, a predator that once roamed more than 10 million acres in the American South nearly vanished, all but erased by bounties, habitat destruction, and fear. But the truth behind why the Florida panther nearly disappeared is far more tangled than a vanished species. If fewer than 30 survived by 1993, what hope ever remained, and how close did we really come to losing them forever? Long before their numbers dwindled to a handful, Florida panthers moved across a vast, wild expanse. Their territory stretched from the piney woods of eastern Texas across the cypress swamps of Louisiana and Mississippi, up through the lowland forests of Alabama and Georgia, and all the way to the salt marshes of South Carolina. This range covered more than 40 million acres, an area larger than the state of Florida itself. In these lands, the panther was more than a shadow in the undergrowth. It was the unseen architect of balance, keeping deer and wild hog populations in check, shaping the health of forests and wetlands with every silent step. Panthers once threaded through the tangled hammocks and open prairies, navigating rivers and wetlands that seemed endless. They hunted white-tailed deer and wild hogs, their presence rippling through the food web. Without them, grazing animals could strip the understory bare, leaving forests vulnerable to erosion and fire. The panther's role as an apex predator was vital. It kept prey populations in balance and gave space for countless other plants and animals to thrive. Early accounts from settlers and naturalists describe panther tracks along the banks of the Sabine River, sightings in the dense hardwoods of Arkansas, and the echo of their calls in the swamps near the Okefenokee. Museum records and old field notes confirm their reach, showing a creature at home in pinelands, hardwood forests, and even open grasslands. The panther's adaptability allowed it to flourish in environments as varied as the Everglades sawgrass to the upland forests of Tennessee. But this sweeping range was not just a matter of geography. It was a living network connecting habitats and sustaining the wild heart of the Southeast. The loss of such a range meant more than the disappearance of a species from a map. It meant the unraveling of ecological threads that held entire landscapes together. A $10 bounty once hung over every Florida panther's head, a sum that turned the state's top predator into a target for anyone with a rifle and a desperate need for cash. Hunters, trappers, and ranchers fanned out across the backcountry, scalping panthers for payment. County game wardens logged hundreds of claims each year, and state funds flowed steadily into pockets lined with fur. The reasoning was simple. Panthers were painted as livestock killers, threats to deer herds, and monsters in the night. Newspapers ran stories of supposed attacks, stoking fear and justifying the slaughter. Even as the real risk to cattle was small, the myth of the man-eater stuck. At the same time, the land itself was being stripped away. Settlers cleared forests and drained wetlands, carving up the wilds for cattle, citrus, and sugarcane. In less than a century, 3 million acres of panther habitat vanished under plows, axes, and bulldozers. Canals sliced through the Everglades, lowering water tables and turning swamps into dry, open pasture. The tangled corridors that once connected forests, prairies, and marshes were severed, leaving panthers stranded in shrinking pockets of wilderness. Each new fence or road cut off another escape, another hunting ground, another chance at survival. By the 1950s, the panther's world had shrunk to a fraction of its former size. Bounty hunting had become less profitable as panthers grew scarce, but the damage was done. Advocacy groups, alarmed by the rapid decline, pressed lawmakers for change. In 1958, Florida finally banned panther hunting, but the ban arrived too late for most. Decades of persecution and relentless clearing had pushed the species to the edge. The scars left by those years would haunt every attempt at recovery that followed. Golden Gate Estates began as a grand vision, a sprawling subdivision carved straight into the heart of Panther country. In the 1960s, developers drained more than 460,000 acres of wetlands and pine forest in Collier County, slicing through the Fakahatchee Strand and Big Cypress ecosystems. Canals and roads crisscrossed the land, cutting ancient wildlife corridors into fragments. The promise of new homes and easy profit left behind a checkerboard of empty lots and dry ditches, but for the panther, it meant the wild was no longer whole. The damage did not stop at the edge of the Golden Gate. Across southwest Florida, more than 5,000 acres of wetlands vanished every year, replaced by highways, subdivisions, and citrus groves. By the late 1980s, a single stretch of pavement could mean the difference between life and death. In 1989, a panther known as UCFP-13 was struck and killed on a highway, an event that would force a reckoning. Wildlife managers responded by building the first underpasses for panthers along I-75, a rare concession to the needs of a vanishing predator. Isolation brought a quieter threat. With their world reduced to a patchwork of disconnected forests, fewer than 30 panthers remained by the early 1990s. The survivors were trapped in a genetic bottleneck, forced to breed within the same shrinking family tree. Dr. Melody Relke, a veterinarian working in the swamps, began to notice the signs: kinked tails, cowlicks running down spines, and hearts that failed far too soon. X-rays and blood tests revealed a hidden crisis: reproductive failures, low sperm counts, and kittens born too weak to survive. The defects multiplied as generations passed, each one carrying the same flawed code. By 1994, the panther population had collapsed to just 27 known individuals, nearly everyone marked by some form of genetic defect. The land was broken, and so were the bloodlines. Without new genes or new ground, the Florida panther's fate seemed sealed. In 1995, 8 female Texas cougars stepped into the tangled wilds of South Florida. Their arrival was not a quiet one. Biologists tracked every move, hoping these newcomers would bring the genetic lifeline the Florida panther so desperately needed. The plan was risky and controversial. Critics worried that by mixing bloodlines, the distinct Florida panther would be lost forever. But the alternative was extinction. Within a decade, the gamble paid off. By 2005, the panther population had climbed to around 80, and kittens born after the rescue showed fewer of the defects that once plagued the species. Their hearts beat stronger, their tails grew straight, and survival rates surged. Nearly 30 years later, the legacy of those Texas cats still run through the swamps. A 2022 genomic study found that today's panthers carry between 60% and 80% Florida ancestry, with no sign that their unique traits have been erased. Instead, diversity has increased. Panthers are healthier, more resilient, and better equipped to face the challenges of the wild. Carlos Martinez, a wildlife geneticist, calls the genetic rescue a rare victory, but he warns that it is not a cure-all. The population remains small, and the gains are fragile. Each year, new threats close in. In 2024, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission recorded 32 panther deaths, most from vehicle collisions. Highways slice through what little habitat remains, and sprawling developments like Ave Maria continue to shrink the wild. Panthers are cornered, forced to cross busy roads in search of territory, mates, and food. For every step forward, another danger waits at the edge of the forest. The struggle for survival has shifted from the swamp to the suburbs, and the outcome is far from certain. Today, fewer than 250 Florida panthers survive, hemmed in by roads and relentless development. Each new construction project carves away their future. Whether this apex predator endures now hinges on the choices we make, not nature. Extinction isn't distant history, it's a decision unfolding in real time. What will we choose?